All right, welcome to the Promise Daily, and we are here today with the one and only Debi Lilly.
Hi!
Hi, Debi.
Hi, Jamie. Hi, Promise Daily.
Hello. So, welcome back, I should say. We are having some hysterical and ironic technical difficulties, so this is like deja vu over here, Debi.
But we're powering through.
We are powering through, and I want to say that is what you do, Debi. I'm so impressed with your ability to go with the flow and fix it in the moment and make things work.
Well, I appreciate that. I will say I work very hard at that, so I'm grateful for the compliment. My job is one where that is really a very big part of my job.
It's got to be. So Debi works with celebrities, Debi works with brides, Debi works with people who are throwing big bashes that need to go off without a hitch. And so you know what it's like to be under pressure in the moment to make it work.
Yes.
You know what? While we're on this, do you have any great snafus you want to share?
There's so many. What one comes to mind first? I have a pretty good one.
Do you?
So I was doing a wedding downtown, and it was a little bit of a running joke in the office because the family that the wedding was for seemed to have some ties to the mafia. And everyone was joking like, I hope we see you later. I hope something doesn't go wrong and you're in Lake Michigan with cement shoes. It was like a very big joke. And we get to the church, huge church downtown Chicago, and in comes, the bride and the bridal party, and we're sort of getting ourselves organized in the church. Hundreds of people are about to arrive, half hour later. And what happens? In walks another bride and another bridal party and another wedding planner. And I was like, hi, can I help you? With this great big smile on, thinking they've gone to the wrong church. And they're like, we're getting married at 2 o'clock. And I was like, oh no, we're getting married at 2 o'clock. And the wedding planner and I kind of looked at each other and sprinted as fast as we could to the church office, which was on the other side of the building. And come to find out, that groom of that other wedding was the nephew of the mayor of Chicago, Mayor Daley's nephew. And the wedding planner was throwing that around, there's no way she's going anywhere. Her groom's the mayor's nephew. Oh my gosh, it was crazy. But I am here to tell you, sure enough, all our guests started arriving. All their guests started arriving. There was 300 people at each wedding, so 600 people trying to figure out what to do. It was crazy. And their bridal party and guests had to wait outside until our wedding finished because their minister had double booked when we'd already booked the church. It was insane.
Oh.
That's a pretty big snafu.
That's a big snafu.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great story. And oh my gosh, you must be able to pull that out for other brides when they're having a meltdown and you're like, oh, it could be worse.
Yes. It's true, the craziest things can happen. You just really have to be so flexible and so quick thinking. Yeah. I think that's a very, very big part of any job probably, but especially a job where you're gathering huge groups of people.
Yeah.
I've done a party where the power went out at a black tie gala fundraiser. No power.
Oh, that's like the Super Bowl. Were you watching the Super Bowl this year?
Oh, yes, I was, and I was like, phew, it happened after Beyonce.
Right. So what did you do at this big black tie affair?
It was just one of those things where I was thankful we had candles everywhere. You've probably heard me say, rule number 1 for party decor, candles, candles, candles. And I ran to the stage and said, start playing the piano, figure out how to create music, even though we don't have any power and we don't have a sound system. And believe it or not, it was a casino party, with blackjack and roulette. And so we figured out how to get emergency lights on, which are very tacky and not flattering whatsoever.
Right.
But did enable us to continue to keep the entertainment going, and it was crazy. And of course it was in the summer when it was no air conditioning without power, so then we're having to pop the doors open and try and cool the place off. It was just a comedy of errors.
What a good idea though, Debi. Good thinking on your feet, because you created an atmosphere with music, which took the place of light.
Some sort of sensory reaction.
Absolutely. Well, let's get into this because, as you know, my promise this year is exploring abundance. And so I'm doing these interviews with all these great people that I adore and love, and people who work in different areas of abundance. And I think that is something that you absolutely do. You really create abundance. And maybe you could talk a little bit about what that means in your life and in your work.
I agree. This is a job full of abundance, and it's a really wonderful, abundant life with my job truly being to create beauty and to create memories and to make things really just sort of sentimental and personal and thoughtful. Like, that's a really amazing job to have, but it is all about abundance. That's such a key adjective. And to me, abundance would be like so much wonderful you can't even take it all in. And that's truly a pretty cool job to have and a pretty happy job to have. I mean, certainly, as I've already described, there can be lots of things that go wrong, but those are really the extremes. And it's such a rewarding job too, because think of all the jobs out there in the world where you never see the fruition of your work.
Right.
You might work on a project and work on a project, and the project gets canceled or the project gets shelved or whatever it is. One of the greatest things, and I don't know if this ties directly to abundance, but to me, it's the abundance of being able to see everything that you create come to life, and then the beauty of it wrapping, and then you start another one, and that ends, and you start another one, and that ends, and there's a really beautiful feeling of accomplishment and seeing your work matters and seeing, like the happiness your work brings into the lives of others, and that is such abundance, and one of my very, very favorite things about my job and the company that we've built. I started it right outside of college, and that we employ people and pay health insurance and all of those things out of the abundance of what we do is just, it's so cool. I can't even tell you how meaningful it is, really.
Yeah, that is so cool. I mean, first of all, I love your definition of abundance. I love the idea that it's so much wonderful, you can't take it all in. It's just such a beautiful way to say it. And I love how you've created this abundance out of what you've always loved, which is throwing parties. Always, yeah. Maybe you could. I've heard some of your stories, and you shared with me like all these great events you planned when you were like this tiny little girl. Maybe you could share a little bit about how that started.
I truly grew up in a family. My grandmother throws the most beautiful parties. When you go to her home, like just a week and a half ago, it was her 86th birthday, and it was just the four of us, my husband, my two kids, myself, driving to Ohio to throw her a birthday party with just my grandma and my grandpa. She had the table set, the linen, the china, the silver, the crystal, the fresh flowers. Now, mind you, I was bringing everything. She wasn't even supposed to set the table. She had an entire meal she'd prepared. I mean, this is a woman who really knows how to entertain. And lucky me, grew up in that family. My mother's the very same way. Everything my mother does is so beautiful and so thoughtful, and so I loved it as a child. And when it would be a holiday, I would throw a cookie baking party, whether it be Easter or Christmas or whatever it was. If you were my neighbor and you went on vacation, I threw you a bon voyage party because you were going somewhere. If you moved into a new house, a housewarming party, any excuse. It's very, very silly. And my friends all love to remind me of it to this day and tease me incessantly about even bands. I loved Duran Duran as a kid, and I'd throw each member a birthday party on their birthday and serve all their favorite foods that I'd, like thoroughly researched way before the internet, out of like Tiger Beat and Teen Magazine and all of those.
Right. Oh my gosh. I have. This is totally bringing back a memory. I don't know if I've ever told you this, but when I think I was in third grade, for my birthday party, I told my mother I wanted to have a dance.
Ooh, that's a good one.
A dance. I was like in third grade. I don't even know what I was thinking. And it was a really big deal because I wanted to have boys and girls over but my mom, she probably thought it was crazy. But she played along, and she said, absolutely, and I got dressed up. I remember this dress, this pink frilly dress with all this lace, and like, your little patent leather shoes, all dressed up, and we turned our basement into a dance. I had this really big idea. Now the kicker of it is that, of course, nobody danced because boys and girls don't do that
Right.
when you're
Right.
that old, when you're that young, I should say. But yeah, I love it that you really had this creative genius and you really stuck with it. And everything you do is about bringing these special moments and people together in those special moments.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, so
So fun. Such a great job.
Fun. It's such a great job. I love, if you guys have to follow Debi on Facebook or Twitter. Why don't you give out your details here now so people can follow you?
I am Debi Lilly, and that's on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, on every Pinterest. There's so many. Oh, talk about abundance.
I know, talk
Social
about abundance.
media abundance.
Oh my gosh, it's like overwhelming abundance.
I know. And then we also do a lot as A Perfect Event, which is the name of my company. So follow either, both, one, the other.
All. And if you do, what you're going to find is some amazing photos, amazing real-life events, and it's really a day in the life of Debi Lilly.
Well, I think it's fun, every day we create something so beautiful, literally every single day, and I love social media. I mean, I was a marketing major, so I'm probably very drawn to the marketing of it all,
Right.
but I find it so exciting because whatever we're doing, the flowers we just got in, the invitations we just got in, the gifts we just got in, the things we're creating, we photograph, we share, and people say, oh, those are the flowers I want, or oh, that's the invitation I want, or oh, that's the favor I want. So there's such like immediate connection to our customers that you never had before. It's so incredible. Like a bride will change what she thought she wanted for her flower to what I just posted today. And. It's really very interactive and very fun, and it's a whole new way just to communicate and share ideas.
Oh, I know. It's amazing. I find Pinterest just over the top. I mean, talk about abundance.
Yes, I know.
It's like inspiration on overload.
I agree. What I love about it is no matter what the topic, you can just type it right in the search bar and everything comes up. And I love to cook, love recipes,
Yeah.
always pulling together recipes for something. And I used to always go to the Food Network or Epicurious. I never go to those anymore. I just go to Pinterest, I think, because it's all about pictures. On Food Network, there'll be a huge recipe in like a teeny tiny picture, and it's just so much more fun to pick what you love by the picture and a little bit of a description. It's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like, well, really, from a marketing standpoint, Pinterest is more about discovery for shopping. So Google's about searching to solve problems, whereas Pinterest is about discovery to go buy or go do. And so it makes so much sense because when you're in the kitchen or you want to cook, you're looking for inspiration, and that inspiration usually comes from a photo, actually seeing the end product, right?
Yes.
So Pinterest
I'm a big
is perfect.
proponent of I don't buy cookbooks that don't show photos of the recipes.
I feel the same way. It's such a bummer to like have this recipe that sounds great, but you don't have any clue what it's supposed to look. Especially for me, I'm not a great cook, so I need that photo.
We all do. We all need it.
That inspiration. All right, well, let's break this down. Let's break it down into how to create abundance in all sorts of events and areas of life and holidays and things that people might need some ideas and inspiration of their own from you, Miss Debi Lilly.
I love it.
All right. All right, I'm going to throw it at you here. Let's talk about, we're coming right up on this one. Let's talk about graduation. Graduation season. How do we create abundance for the party?
Step one is to look at your guest of honor and what they love and their school they're graduating from. That gives you your whole look and feel and decor right there. We just did a party and created everything in red and blue, the school colors, and we created a whole menu all around his favorite foods. And everyone right now is doing everything tiny, which is so fun and really fun for the kids, and especially for something like graduation where there often are lots of parties on the same day. You can do everything teeny tiny, like mac and cheese, but you do it in little tiny, like a mini muffin tin. You can put your mac and cheese in there and bake it, and they become mac and cheese muffins, which is so fun and so cute. And another big trend is everything finger foods, so that when you're throwing the party, you make it easier on yourself, and you don't have to have seating and chairs and china and all of that for everyone. You can just put together an abundant menu of great little tiny bites. You know, whether it be a hot dog, but you cut it into 4 little hot dogs, you know, you put it on your bun, but then slice it so you've got little tiny bites of hot dog instead of a giant hot dog. Little tiny this, little tiny that. It's very easy to do, and it's just so much more fun, and really fun for kids, you know, whether it be high school or college or whatever, graduation.
I love it. I love it. All right, let's talk about the bride. I know you do so many wonderful weddings. How can a bride create more abundance in her wedding setting, whether it's rehearsal dinner or, you know, the actual celebration?
Yes, this is a good one. And you know, weddings are so expensive that it can really be a challenge to create abundance, because it can be very tricky to cover the cost of everything that you need to throughout the planning. So we just did a wedding on Saturday a few days ago. It was our first big wedding of the year.
Oh, kicking off the season, right?
The season's here. It's spring, finally.
I know.
And the bride didn't love flowers, and she didn't want to spend a lot on flowers. But what we did is we created these beautiful candle collections where we took lots of pillar candles, you know, the big, thick candles, and we had those all over the center of the table. I think there was maybe 7 on the center of each table. Those are inexpensive. You can keep them forever. I mean, a pillar candle will literally last you 10 years. And then we scattered rose petals everywhere on the table, but very inexpensive. Instead of a huge centerpiece, it was maybe 3 roses, and you just broke the petals off and scattered them all around, and it created an abundant carpet of rose on the table, which was very soft and pretty. The candlelight was so beautiful, and then we layered in the little votive candles, so you had the big ones and the little ones, different heights on the table. It was so beautiful and very, very abundant feeling, but yet very affordable.
I love it. Both the rose petals and the candle, what a great combination.
They really are, and that works great for any kind of party.
Yeah. And again, if you want to see photos of this, I bet that they are on Instagram.
I bet they are.
I bet they
were within like 2 seconds of finishing the first table.
That's right. All right, so let's move to holidays. How do we create abundance around the holidays? And let's just go with Thanksgiving, because it's kind of like the abundant holiday.
Yes, and the first big one.
And the first
big one.
You know,
I say the holidays can be a really beautiful time, but also they are a really stressful time. So one big thing that I tell people, my big trick, and we talk about this a lot in our book, A Perfect Event, is create abundance by helping pick up things around town that are pre-made. Like, you don't have to pre-make everything from scratch. You don't have to have baked your own bread and rolls and cookies and pies and. You do probably want to bake for Thanksgiving like the turkey, but all your sides, all your sweets, you could completely rely on your local market, your grocery, your bakery. There are things out there that are so beautiful, that are so delicious, healthy too, but yet you haven't needed to cook for days, such that when your doorbell rings and your guests arrive, you are totally wiped out and not really a very great hostess. Because another good key to abundance at celebrations is, as a hostess, you really are setting the tone. And a lot of people don't think about that. You know, they have put in a lot of money and a lot of time and a lot of work. We all know how it is to throw a party. So I say, for the holidays especially, do not try and make it all from scratch. Put together a great menu, but pick things up that are pre-made, and then have a better experience and spend more time with your guests. Like, a really great trick to create an abundance of time with your guests when they come for Thanksgiving is have some cocktails pre-made in a pitcher or in a couple pitchers. You know, you can take a tray, set down 2 or 3 pitchers, fill one with, there's that wonderful cider. You know, that yummy apple cider, spiced cider. Take a gallon of that and take a bottle of Prosecco. Mix the two together. throw in some fresh rosemary, slice up some clementines. All of this is abundant in the fall.
Yeah.
That is the most delicious cocktail. And you don't have to add in champagne. You could add in just like what do they call the non-alcoholic sparkling cider?
Oh, yeah.
And that would give it the fizz. Or add in ginger beer. You know, ginger beer isn't alcoholic. It's just like a stronger, more gingery ginger ale, and that's amazing mixed in anything. And if you do a couple different things, do one with pomegranate, do one with apple cider, they're absolutely delicious. They're fun for the kids. The adults can add in, you know, a little sparkling Prosecco, champagne, vodka, whatever it is, and it really, the host or hostess allows you to just have fun. You don't have to be stuck at the bar making everyone's cocktails as they arrive. And likewise with your menu in the kitchen. Have things that you can pre-make, you can set the buffet, people can help themselves, and you're able to really enjoy and have conversations and spend time with people.
Yeah. That's so great, because so many times at a party you're so stuck inside of getting prepared, and then you're immediately in cleanup mode.
Yes.
It's like the party, where did the party go?
Absolutely.
That's great. Okay, let's break it down. I know you've got some really good tips around this. So let's go to everyday life with your family. How do you create abundance?
You know, I have so many thoughts to share on this one. It's hard to figure out where to start. You know what I'll say? The first abundant tip that comes to my mind is on your kitchen table, have an entire bowl full of fruit. And it might sound so silly, but number one, it's beautiful. It creates beauty in your kitchen.
Yeah.
Number two, it promotes abundant health. Because when you're sitting there looking at the first thing you see, all your cabinets are closed. When the first thing you see is a giant bowl of apples, mine always has apples, pears, bananas, and clementines. That's what, when my kids come home from school, they have a snack out of that, and then they can go to the cabinet, and then they can go to the refrigerator. But they can't go to those places until they've had the healthy snack. But if you don't have it front and center, you don't think that way as an adult or as a child. I really love that. And I think, too, an abundance of time together. Yeah. Like, we all know what a struggle this one is. For me, too. I work, my husband works. I mean, we work a lot. Too much. Yeah. I will be the first one to raise my hand, too. But at the same time, we really try and force getting around the table, talking. My son he just turned 9, and he, you know, wants to have his head down, playing a game, playing on his iPad, whatever it might be. And I'm really trying to say, okay, it's conversation time. What do you want to talk about? And what will he say? Nothing. And I'll say, well, you need to ask me some questions. You know, have you asked me about my day? Have you asked me what I did at work? And he does start asking the questions, and then it does just naturally, immediately start a conversation. Yeah. And I think that's so important, even in the car. My daughter and I were driving to a volleyball tournament, and she wanted to sit in the seat with the iPad, with her iPhone. And I said, nope, conversation time. She's like, oh, I don't have anything to talk about. And I was like, well, think of something. You know, what have you asked me lately? And I think it's so important to teach children how to be conversational and how to be polite, and not let them, you know, just sort of play the iPad, electronic games, etc. Even things like creating an abundance of healthy habits. Right. Every week I try and get the kids together, or even if they're separate, I say, what do you want to eat this week? What are your favorite things? I'm going to the grocery. What do you want? And I think that's such a nice way for them to think about eating and, again, being healthy. And he picks tacos, and she picks turkey burgers, and they're allowed to pick some fun things, you know, like he'll want Oreos and Lucky Charms, and I could go on and on. But for every treat that he picks, he has to pick healthy things. I have them help me make the grocery list. All those kinds of little things, to me, can really help them think about their health and spend time together at the same time. It's so important to force it, you know. It doesn't happen naturally. It's really all about forcing it, but I think you can force it in kind of a fun, silly, let's spend time together kind of way.
Yeah, well, and times have really changed. Like I think back to this last Thanksgiving, there were 6 of us in a room and we were all looking at our iPhones.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yep.
And
And I'm the first one to be taking all the pictures. That's my job. For
yeah,
literally years for work. I take pictures of food. I take pictures of everything I do for work. But I also try very hard. I'm probably not as great as I should be, but I try to take the pictures but then put it away and not be posting in the middle of table time. I
hmm
feel like maybe I can snap a few and tuck it away and post later. And that's a nice thing too, is try and carve out time where even when it is your job, you're putting it down and really focusing on being together. Things are so different, and the kids, they just grow up so fast. My daughter just, maybe it was Sunday, told me she'll be in middle school next year. And I just started sobbing hysterically when we were snuggling together on the couch because I was like, how? How? I mean, when she was born, how can she already be in middle school? It's
yeah,
crazy. So I feel
wow.
like you have to make it happen. There's no excuses. And whatever it is, I will say, please come to the grocery. I just want to be with you. And from that silly little thing, we'll have the best time. And there'll just be so many fun little things that I just am grateful for their company and grateful for, the little things. Like when I look back on being a child, it's the little things, the things that you don't even really think will ever be a memory, but they sort
Right.
of become the memories. I bet you're a very good person to talk to about that because it's not the big things. In the end, it's the little things.
Right. It's so right. It's all the little things
Mm-hmm.
that add up. It's really not the big shiny things. It's the
Mm-mm.
little everyday things that
Yep.
mean so much. And I think that's why events are so important, and holidays and bringing people together. Because as much as it is about the ambiance and the food and the location, it's really about the connection of the people, right?
It is, and just having the memories together.
Yeah.
The first person I think of when I think of what I do for a living is my grandmother, who wasn't
Mhm.
trying to, set a fancy table. What she's always doing is wanting to pull out the things that mean the most to her, that are her family heirlooms, that were her mother's, that were her grandmother's.
Yeah.
It's not coming from a place of wanting something shiny. It's coming from a place of these things mean so much to her and the stories. And
Mhm.
she was telling Lily, my daughter, and myself just a few months ago how this china pattern.
This was your grandmother's china.
Yes, and she inherited it from someone. I'm not even going to get it right who it was. But
Right.
she was telling Lily and myself the most beautiful story about how her past generation had gone on horse and carriage to the big city of Columbus, Ohio, from teeny tiny little Colton, Ohio, to pick out this wedding china. And it was the most beautiful story. And it's things like that that make entertaining, I think, so fun. There's pieces I have that she's handed down to me or my mother's given me or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
And that's why it's fun to entertain, because you want to get out the things that are so meaningful that you don't get to use frequently,
Yeah.
but yet are special and make you smile and bring back great memories. And then, of course, it's all about the time and the memories that you make, silly little things like going to throw her birthday party, just our family of 4, was the most, really one of the most beautiful days I've ever spent with her in my, 40 years of age. It was so much fun. And what's really made us smile post party is that she sent us one beautiful thank you note. I mean, I could cry just thinking about what it said, how much it meant to her, just that we
Mm.
took the time to come throw her a party. And then just yesterday, I got a second thank you note because she just really wanted to say thank you again, and she can't stop thinking about it. And that's the kind of stuff that life's about. And
I
it's
love it.
hard to have the time, it's hard to make the time, but we
Yeah.
all need to do it more.
I agree. I totally agree. And I remember seeing those photos of the party that you posted. It's just, I mean, on so many levels, it's so important, and connecting with older generations, and,
Yes.
really connecting in person instead of on email and on phone. And like right now we're on Skype, and this is awesome because we can be connected. But even this feels,
Yep.
more special because I can see you, and,
Agreed. Yep.
that face to face eye contact is so awesome.
I agree.
Yeah.
And the pictures, like I'm such a, in my family, I drive everyone crazy because I take so many pictures. But then just yesterday, I was blogging about Lily Pulitzer, who is just a big memory of my childhood. And I was pulling out all these pictures, and it was so great to have all the pictures. So even when your families abundantly are against you taking the pictures, like I was banned from Parker's basketball games. Seriously, he's such a nice little boy, but he was like, "You embarrass me. Please do not come to my games. Boys only. No mom allowed." Seriously. And I get it. He's 9. It's embarrassing that I'm taking his picture. But it's so great to have the pictures years down the road.
Yeah.
I was posting pictures of Lily in her Lily Pulitzer when she was a tiny little baby 11 years ago, and it was just so cute.
Yeah.
So abundant documenting, I think, is also important in life.
Yeah, well, let's talk about that a little bit because you have published a book.
Yes.
It's called A Perfect Event.
Yes.
It is beautiful.
Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. And the photography in the book is amazingly beautiful as well. And this is photography that you've taken at your own events, and A Perfect Event events. And I mean, these are real weddings. These are real outdoor parties. These are, real celebrations from real life. And the photography is astounding.
I agree. The photography is the whole reason for the book because they're just so beautiful, and a lot of it's professional photography from the photographers at the wedding or the birthday party or whatever it might be. A lot of them are some of my favorite parties that I took the pictures at, and so it's a really great combination of authentic, real parties with the real menus, the real cocktails, the real recipes, the real DIY do-it-yourself decor, so you too can create it at home for your own party. And it's been so much fun. Tomorrow we have a really fun book signing in Naperville, which is a suburb of Chicago, where we're bringing the book to life. And as you know, we've been doing that at book signings everywhere we go, and it's just very fun. I love that it's like a workbook. We purposely published a softcover workbook that people could carry around and take to the grocery and shop out of the book, and those are the kind of books that I find the most useful, and I love that this one is designed to be like that, and hopefully to make it easier. We call it Grocery to Gorgeous, where you truly can just grab things right at the grocery store and put them together in a new way that looks very elevated, but yet really is accessible and easy.
It is accessible. They are easy, and you have a really great tip about, I forget what you call it, but it's about creating that pop when you first walk into a room. Can you talk more about that? Because I think that that really pulls together what you do, which is the do-it-yourself and the gorgeous aspect of throwing these parties and these memorable events, but making it simple.
Well, thank you. We do love creating a focal point. That's our buzzword that we use.
Focal point, yes.
And it's such an important detail, no matter what kind of party you're throwing, as soon as your guests enter, to have something very lovely for them to see instantly adds drama, instantly wows the crowd, and you can have it be something that's really usable. Like, for example, it could be your bar. And now they have those great big drinking jars that look like big glass jars, and you put your drinks in them. For any party, whether it be a wedding, a birthday party, a backyard garden, I love putting a pair of them on a table right when guests enter and putting in 2 different cocktails. Again, family party, don't put the alcohol in, have the alcohol on the tables on either side, and it's so easy to buy. Like pomegranate juice is so healthy, or something that's a very big like antioxidant, vitamin rich something or other, and then infuse it with some fresh herbs, infuse it with some fresh berries. Again, produce, get a little fiber, a little flavor in there. And that big focal point with some candles around it, again, some scattered rose petals, is a really useful decoration. It looks great on the table, but it's functional, people can enjoy it, and everybody loves seeing something new and tasting something new when they go to a party. So it's just a win-win all across the board.
Yeah, I love it. It's such a great tip. So focal point. I'm going to remember that.
Focal point.
That's great. I love it. All right, so back to the book. Where can people get your book?
You can get it on Amazon, Barnes & Noble. You can come to our website. We are happy to personalize them, sign them, send them right over. People email and call every day, and we pop them right in the mail. They're just $20. Great gift for Mother's Day
Oh,
and for
good.
any occasion, for those stocking up like I always do on my new favorite gift. And it's, again, just a really fun book. We also have a magazine, which is
Yes.
very exciting,
Yes.
and that is online. It's right on our website, aperfectevent.com, or my blog, debililly.com, and we publish a new issue every season. So we just published spring last week, which is full of recipes and floral and decor and parties, birthday parties, weddings, you name it, it's in there for spring. And we're already knee-deep in our summer issue, which will launch June 1st.
Yeah, I bet you are. Yeah, you have to check out this magazine. It's online. It's free. Anybody can go there. Again, the photography is gorgeous. The ideas, yeah, are, practical but also aspirational, which I love. And the fonts, I love the fonts.
You do? I'll have to tell Lindsay. She's the designer, and she does such a great job.
And the fonts are gorgeous.
Thank you.
It's a really beautiful package. And in the spring issue, you have all of these beautiful photos from even around the world, like from Japan, right? Isn't that one?
Yeah. Two producers that I work with at ABC News downtown went on the most gorgeous trip to Japan right in the height of the cherry blossom season. And so when they came back, they were showing me the pictures, and I said, I have got to do a story on your trip. It was just beautiful. It's very hard to keep the magazine a realistic number of pages, because that story I wanted to have be 10 times longer. It was so hard. We have a bride and groom in the current issue that are being married this fall in Chicago, but she's Korean, and they flew to Korea to do their engagement pictures, which is a very big tradition in Korea, a tradition I've never heard of here in the same way. And that story was so beautiful. All these wardrobe changes and hair and makeup changes and scenery changes, and the entire photo shoot was filmed in the basement of a photographer's studio. And she said it's this tiny little space, and when you read the story, it does not look like it's in the basement, and it does not look tiny.
No.
So many fun, very global inspired stories.
Yeah.
France, of course, Paris.
France. Yes. And how many pages long was this issue?
So I think this might have been our shortest, and it's maybe 200 pages, 219 or something total, but I'm afraid I'm going to have to kick it back up for the next one, because we reformatted and we were trying to do a lot of multi-image pages, but I just love the big pictures.
Yeah, the
picture's bigger.
The photos are amazing. And, we really are becoming a visual society. Like, that's how we interpret stories, whether it's movies or what we're seeing online and through social media.
I so agree. Yeah.
And that's why the online magazine's so great. It's so beautiful, and you just keep flipping pages, and it's like, how can there be more?
Right.
It's just so abundant. It's really abundant.
It is abundant.
Absolutely. So where can people interact with you? I know you've got an upcoming schedule where you're going to be flying around the country. You've got some really cool events coming up.
We do. So let's see, it's April. We have a really fun event the end of April, on April 30th. It is on our website for BJ Linen, the launch of a really cool linen company in New York City. Really fun event where we're sharing all their new products. We're setting all of their tables with all kinds of beautiful food and drink and sweets and flowers and all sorts of entertaining trends. And then we have a similar event the first weekend of June in San Francisco with Sunset Magazine. They have a great big event every year outside in their gardens, and that's on our website too. So there's all kinds of fun stuff to come see us.
I love it. That event looks so gorgeous and amazing, the Sunset Magazine.
It really is. Sunset Magazine is such a favorite of mine. I have loved it for a very long time.
Oh, yeah. And it's kind of like a fair. It looks to me like a outdoor vendor fair almost.
It is. There's chefs everywhere. All the Food Network chefs are there. It's hilarious that you would appreciate. My book had just come out. They actually did a special run of the book just for the Sunset Magazine event last year. So it was like a pre-release. And I'm sitting there at my little table with my little stack of books, and guess who's right next to me at his table? Guy Fieri. And I am not kidding. There was like 1,000 people in line for Guy Fieri's book, and I'm like, It was a most humbling experience, Jamie.
I bet it was. It
was so fun, though. So much fun.
Well, I think that's why that event sounds so cool. Is you just never know who's going to be there, and
yes,
like all sorts of lifestyle inspiration.
Yes. We'll be sharing first weekend of June, sharing from New York City, end of April.
Awesome. Love it. All right, before we go, one more tip. Best tip, Debi Lilly tip you have?
I would say this spring and summer, it is all about color. Color on your table, color in your flowers, flowering pots on your patio tables, backyard, colorful food, drinks. It's just such a huge trend. It's like fashion, you know? Everything in parties sort of follows fashion, and right now it is all about color.
Love it. Well, your color is brilliant. You're beautiful. I love talking with you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Love you lots. We will talk to you soon.
Ah.